Welcome! I'm Arseni, and I am the People's Chef. Join me for some easy, healthy cooking. There aren't many foods that are better than a good fish for dinner. And wild Alaskan salmon is simple and great to prepare for impress your guests. Let's get started. Salmon happens to be one of the healthiest proteins that you can eat. Now, picking fish is very, very important. There's two types, really, farm-raised and wild salmon. Farm-raised will usually have, the food will be fed in pallets, so they'll be farm-raised in captivity, while wild salmon will be mostly available seasonally or depending on most grocery stores year-round, just based off how their catch is going to be. Now, one of the things that you want to look for is when you go into the grocery store, smell the fish. It's very, very important to smell it. Fish tends to fade as they age, and they'll develop like a milky liquid on the actual meat itself, which isn't really that good for the fish, or good for taste. Now, what you want to do is you want to press the meat with your fingers. And you want to make sure that it just bounces back just a little bit. It doesn't create any creases. Now, what you want to do is start off with heating up a medium pan. This is actually pretty warm. Now, right here, I've been making some garnish that I'm going to be using a little bit later. Now, one of the tricks that I learned is that I got some fish that skin on. One of the things that you want to do is cut in 3 slates. And what this will do is this will stop the skin from curling on itself as you cook it. So turn it over, get a little bit of brown sugar. Now you want to set up a really, really thin layer. You don't want it to be too much because you don't want it to overpower the fish itself. Now, usually you'd be using a little bit of salt and pepper, but in this case I just wanted to show it without, just so it will be very, very simple to make. Now, as this starts to get to medium heat, add just a little bit of olive oil. Now, in this case, you can use infused olive oil. You can use either a garlic infused or a shallot infused, either or, depending on how much preparation you want ahead of time. Now, one of the things is, as the brown sugar starts to seep into the fish, you want to kind of spread it up evenly. So this gets hot. You want to do it skin first. Actually, this is starting to burn just a little bit, so I'm going to add it on right now. Move it around just a little bit, just so there's enough lubrication on the pan itself. Now, as it cooks, you don't want to flip it too many times, so flip it only once and then present it on the plate. So, want to make sure that the skin gets very, very crispy on one side. I have a smaller piece of fish just for it to cook just a tad bit faster. Now, you want to make sure that the skin is just crispy just a little bit. Now flip it over. Now be careful with this. You don't want the heat to be too high because you don't want the sugar particles to start burning on the pan. You want them to caramelize, but you don't want them to burn. So what I recommend is just turning it down just a little bit. Now, as it starts to cook, the sugar will release onto the pan and it will start to caramelize just a tad bit. And you want to keep that caramel on the fish just so it creates almost like a thin layer or thin skin. As it cooks, move it just around the pan just a little bit. Now, one of the things that you can do is you can place this in the oven, so turn it over one more time on the skin and just place it in the oven at 350 degrees. Or you can just leave it on the pan, depending on how thick the salmon is, depending on how much time it will take it to cook. Now this looks almost done. Now, One of the things that I've also like to do is just add in a little bit of lemon. You could do it. You could add it as a garnish, or cook it on the pan as a sauce. Just a little bit. Now for plating, very, very easy. Here I have some collard greens that I did in a previous episode, so we have a white plate. Now, you want to do a couple of things. Get the salmon steak on your silicone spatula and very carefully flip it over. Now here you have a really nice steak. Now just add in just a little bit of the lemon reduction that we have over here just to give it a little bit more color. Now for garnish, I have some parsley over here that I've chopped up earlier. So you can just put just a little bit up top and a little bit around the rim. And one of the things that you can also add is a little bit of veggies, so some red onions or some bell peppers would work really well. You can probably want to do is mix in a little bit of olive oil and balsamic vinegar, just in a reduction, and just cook it on the pan and get it ready to go. Now let me try it really quick, because you want to try your finished product. It doesn't have too much of a salty flavor because I didn't use as much salt. I wanted to keep, with a fresh fish, you want to keep the consistencies all the same. Here you go. Smells good, tastes good, and that's what you're looking for. Thank you for joining me on my quest for healthy cooking. The complete recipe for the shows and previous shows are posted on our website at www.tpchef.tv. Please send any recipes you'd like to see on our show at arseni@tpchef.tv. Join us for future episodes, and thank you for watching The People Chef TV. Eat well and be well. I'm Arseni.